3.1 Practice and Research. This is going to be my case study video of my sketchbook for Project 7. So I think it's important to clarify how important a sketchbook is, and I don't think they really get much credit where it's due in our studies. So I thought I would put this case study video together. I always start off my sketchbooks with tutor feedback, and then kind of initial ideas by mind mapping from previous crit or any further ideas of development that I want to put together. Particularly for Project 7, I've engaged in putting the materials that I've been using together, and I'm going to make a continuation of this through the project. And this is going to be acetate, the wire, wool thread, the thin red line, and anything that relates that has been really nice to work with. I still think that these materials have further investigation and possibilities. Through here we can see there was some circles that emerged from ideas and processes, so I've added that to the sketchbook. I was asked by my tutor to put together relocating my practice to rewrite it, so I've been again mind mapping areas of this and started to think about colour of red, and words relating to this as a colour. So mind maps again, a popular tool that I find very useful to use, and I think it's important to document. I think now that I've had my diagnosis with dyslexia, you can probably see how my work kind of evolves. Through here, engaging into the reviewing the plan, and I've done a Panopto video of this, and this is the written side of the plan and any new ideas that were edited to the plan and notes added. Keep making referencing to my tutor feedback. I do think that this is important, and new ideas that she suggests, again, all documented in a mind map. Further investigation into the locating of my practice, and I have rewritten a new statement. As part of my feedback, I was asked to look at hues and tones and shades of red, so I put together myself a little exercise for this and started to learn about hues of red and names and words to describe red. Learned quite a lot in this little exercise, so it was worth carrying out. And as we can see, I pulled these together with my sampling. I think as a collection this is starting to emerge, and I think towards the end of the project, for Project 10, it will be quite interesting how the work will come together. I'm not a lover of using the red, but I will engage in using it because it's making the reference for dyslexia awareness. Just reminds me too much of an assignment that I did in contemporary context, metamorphoses, where I used red and the changing colours of red, but we shall proceed further with this. Working in the sketchbook, I've been documenting little ideas, taking elements, drawing and just pushing some ideas for design mainly, and then again we can see visual elements, photography, which I do like taking pictures of my work, and through here just some mark making. This is, I used the acetate, which was interesting because it started to make me feel about hues and tones and relating back to the acetate overlays in dyslexia. Ideas and mind maps. I started to look at the recommendation of Joseph Albers and colour, the interaction of colour. Now this was an absolutely fantastic piece of research. Focused on this for a short time, did some research on it, watched YouTube videos and so forth, and then followed through the exercises that took place on YouTube. It's based around fact and actual. So I've taken my red circle, and if this red circle is placed against two other colours, the fact is the circle is red. The actual could possibly be an emotion. The bottom circle looks lighter and the top circle looks darker against the pale yellow and the blue. And then if we further change colours, you can ask yourself, what do you see? Fact and actual. What I did then was followed through some exercises with my samples to see whether this could engage and be worth working with my primary colours from my dyslexia store research and my red circles. So follow through some work there. All of this is documented quite thoroughly on my blog. I have reduced some of the work down so that my tutor can get to see it in detail. Just some drawing, overlays of circles, just drawing a few samples. I did quite a lot of drawing in Project 6, but just pulled together some more drawing here and colour. Some more research into Erin Macquarie, and I took some previous samples. I produced some circular samples where I stitched and then treated these with weaving. She uses objects as a platform to display weaving, and through here I actually produced these before I'd looked into the research of Erin Macquarie, so that was quite interesting. And then just some simple ideas. Materials have been an important role in Project 7, so I'm engaging, introducing new materials. This mesh, this works quite well with the weaving and stitching. The only thing that I haven't done as of yet is started to use words to resonate some of the textile samples. I feel that this is going to be important for Project 8. I had to put this in my sketchbook. I spray painted some circles and this resembled a previous project, but I just love this as a piece of drawing, so that's why that is in the sketchbook. Now through here, as we will relate to, I wanted to introduce my materials and combine the materials. Went back to the idea of the fidgets. Now you will see more of this in Project 8, but it was quite interesting. I haven't actually played with materials and my samples as of yet, and it was quite interesting with this sample how this moves, stretches, and it squeezes, and you can just manipulate and play with this. So that is going to be something that I'm going to be working on. The initial idea came from this, which was noodly stretchy string, and I was just sitting there one night and just produced this little sample. I'm still finding that little mini projects are well worth engaging in, but documenting my ideas. And I've also here engaged in sensory materials. So there's a lot information there that I'm going to push forward for Project 8. Things like sensory socks, sensory panels, bean bags. They're all involving materials and texture, but they're also for calming effects, weighted blankets, and the way that the materials will look, how they will feel to the audience. And I think I'm going to at some point introduce some sound in these sensory samples, so that we can play around with them a little bit. Started to move towards that. I'm quite liking the idea of movement. Now here I've just been playing around with my materials and these initial ideas. I'm thinking going large scale with some of my samples. I don't know why, I just feel as though I just want to go big, and these are going to be taken further into Project 8, where I'm going to be using the body as a platform, and I'm going to have some fun. I'm going to have some fun with some large-scale samples, and I'm going to dance and move and see how they interact with the body. So going back to my materials, I've started to play around with sensory and the ideas of touch and tactility and colour. Some of these colours aren't relevant, but they're just materials that I've been using from the box at the studio here at home. And I think the colour and tactility is going to be very important with these samples. So these will further develop as we move on. And as these have moved on, we can see here there is a combination of some mini samples, how the materials interact with one another, the textures mainly. I've made a continuation to use the red thread because, again, the theme is dyslexia. Colour is important, but I'm still working towards the idea of the primary colours with the red thread. And I've been working on this as a sample. This feels as though it resonates with dyslexia language, how dyslexics see language, how it could be a mixture of words, or that's how they could visually look on the page. Now, this is interesting because I use my French knitted cord with a red circle, and it's become flexible. You can touch it, you can manipulate it, you can, as you can see, start to combine and introduce other materials. So these are early stages for me to play around with. One thing that I feel that I've made an expansion on is the idea of the French knitted cord. Now became large scale. So I started to knit large tubes, which you will see further developments of in this assignment. So as we can see through here, I did some knitted panels, and I've just combined the simple shapes of the circle with various materials, the overlay, acetate overlays, the idea of weaving into knit, and just trying to build and feel and make texture. But I'm feeling at the moment that, for some strange reason, the expansion of the French cord to a knitted tube is going to work particularly well. So I think the direction of this project could end up with knitted century textiles. But again, it's something for further investigation. Still working on some notes and pushing the ideas of century circles. I've still along the way been engaging in my material. I've still got a lot of photographs to go into this sketchbook, just waiting for those to arrive. But I've gone back to using paper, and I've also been engaging a lot with colour and texture to draw the eye into possibilities of some new samples, raised circles, three-dimensional circles, and changing the circles with a red circle overlay. I also used purple and yellow, and placing them over some of the samples, starting to play around visually with colour, a little bit like how a 3D pair of glasses does in a 3D cinema. So as we can see, I'm continually working, using and manipulating the circle three-dimensionally. It could be flat, two-dimensional, and then just working towards making it more three-dimensional and making plans to expand, select, sort and refine these areas. But you will see the new samples in my blog, but I thought it was important for my tutor to see a case study of how I'm working in my sketchbook. The processes, the ideas of materials, the idea of how I see things. And I know I think I demonstrate typical traits of dyslexia, where I become overwhelmed myself with ideas with samples. This is why a sketchbook for me is important. Everything has to be quite visual, even down to the written work with a mind map. And I do have intentions to refine work and work on one particular area. But I think this is where it's going to now work for me for project 8, because I'm going to be working on a brand new, another rough draft for the critical essay. So this is going to work alongside some of the new work for project 8.